Grand Theft Auto has never been shy about its influences. With its pop culture parodies and numerous homages, the series mines everything from The Sopranos to Menace to Society to assemble worlds full of violent criminals with sleazy pastimes. But there's more to Grand Theft Auto than crime and occasional punishment. This series marked a watershed in video games with its open-world gameplay and varied diversions, particularly when Grand Theft Auto 3 arrived in 2001. Its journey to industry phenomenon wasn't a simple one though, and Grand Theft Auto's vast cities owe a surprising debt to giant bugs and cute little robot sheep. This is the secret origin of Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto's ruthless mobsters and reckless driving were a long way off when DMA Design first got started. Founded by Scottish programmer David Jones in 1987, the developer's first PC titles were Menace and Blood Money. Despite their names, these side-scrolling shooters were inspired more by genre touchstones like R-Type and Gradius than any criminal melodrama. DMA Design's first big success was the puzzle game Lemmings, which features cute and obedient creatures who march dutifully through levels. Lemmings was the first inkling of DMA's subversive side, as players commanded their titular rodents to self-destruct. DMA Design expanded their horizons with the first-person action title Hired Guns, eventually drawing the attention of Nintendo. In 1994, Nintendo announced the Nintendo 64 under the name Project Reality and began assembling a dream team of developers. DMA joined the pack with Body Harvest, a 3D action game that sent its soldier protagonist through stages teeming with enormous insectile aliens. Nintendo touted Body Harvest's promises of enormous levels, but equally impressive was the main character's ability to commandeer just about any vehicle and drive it, or to hop out and wander on foot, a skill that would lay the groundwork for Grand Theft Auto's main means of vehicle acquisition. The Nintendo 64 saw several delays, and by the time the system launched in 1996, a number of Dream Team games were nowhere to be found. Body Harvest wasn't cancelled, but Nintendo disliked the game's emphasis on alien blasting carnage. After attempting to rework the game and add more RPG elements, Nintendo withdrew their support, leaving DMA to finish the project and look for another publisher. Body Harvest eventually saw a release, thanks to Midway North America and Gremlin Interactive in Europe, but not until the fall of 1998. In the meantime, DMA Design began work on a game with a similar vehicle-switching premise. Originally called Race and Chase, it allowed players to control either criminals or the police, but the law enforcement angle was dropped and the game took the name Grand Theft Auto. As producer Gary Penn explained in a 2011 interview, it's more fun to be bad. The game industry had seen pieces of Grand Theft Auto before. The overhead police patrol gameplay appeared everywhere from a 1986 computer game based on Miami Vice to the NES version of Dick Tracy. And Grand Theft Auto's brand of violence wasn't exactly unprecedented. The idea of callously running over pedestrians dates back to Exidy's 1976 arcade game, Death Race. Gruesome violence was a frequent sight in computer games as well, like the bloody demises in Mindscape's 1991 fantasy slasher Moonstone: A Hard Day's Night, or splattered criminals in Gremlin's Techno Cop, a 1988 game that offered carnage in both driving and on-foot modes. Rampant violence aside, Grand Theft Auto offered an incredible sense of freedom when it came to exploring Liberty City. Players could joyride through parks and run down pedestrians as easily as they might accomplish a carefully planned heist. Grand Theft Auto endured a long and difficult development cycle that nearly saw the game canceled, but it emerged at the perfect moment. The rise of the PlayStation and the expansion of the PC game market made darker, violent fare much more mainstream, from the zombie horror of Resident Evil to the post-apocalyptic bloodshed of Fallout. With the PC release in 1997 and a PlayStation port the following year, Grand Theft Auto became a staple of this new era, and its success drew just as much from critical praise as it did from the ensuing controversy. Grand Theft Auto 2 appeared in 1999 with a broader world and a bickering web of gangs to appease, though it stuck to the overhead viewpoint of the original game. As another generation of consoles loomed in the late 1990s, Grand Theft Auto needed a new look, and it got one from an unlikely source. Despite Body Harvest's iffy history on the Nintendo 64, DMA Design returned to the console with Space Station Silicon Valley. This cartoonish action game focused on a robot named Evo who crash lands on an artificial world. Like Grand Theft Auto, Space Station Silicon Valley presented a spacious world where swapping your ride is both essential to progressing and a lot of fun in its own right. The cute robo-critters and goofy violence of Space Station Silicon Valley were a far cry from Grand Theft Auto. Even so, this realm of floating sheep and helicopter rabbits turned out to be a perfect precursor to GTA's upcoming 3D outing. Despite their best efforts, DMA Design had tried and failed to make a fully three-dimensional version of Grand Theft Auto. It was the creators of Space Station Silicon Valley, already experienced in open 3D playfields, who finally brought the series forward with Grand Theft Auto 3. While the PlayStation 2 and PC allowed for much sharper graphics and larger environments, Grand Theft Auto 3 benefited from the same underlying freedom of Space Station Silicon Valley. It also saw a name change for DMA Design, which became Rockstar North in 2001. Body Harvest and Space Station Silicon Valley were both critically acclaimed, but neither came close to the success of Grand Theft Auto, which climbed from a nearly canceled computer game to a franchise with over 225 million games sold. Today, Grand Theft Auto is a household name and a multi-billion-dollar success story. Thanks to an uncommon sense of freedom, the GTA series brought about a revolution in open-world video games. Yet some smaller steps were just as important, whether they came from a flock of robo-sheep or the canny realization that players wanted to be the bad guys for a change. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to share it with your friends and check out our other secret origin features on Resident Evil and Westworld. For much more on Grand Theft Auto, stick with your friends at IGN.